Today we're running dinos. Welcome back to more SOVL PVP. Today we're going to be putting this Jurassic Park Dino Thunder Reptilian Kingdoms list through its paces. I'll be honest, this started off as a bit of a meme. I just wanted to fit as many dinosaurs into one list as possible. I actually think it's pretty good. Obviously, for our choice of commander, we've gone with the Saurian Warlord on the T-Rex. Now, I've kitted him out with the Greatweapon, Cruelty, and Prowess. So maybe foregoing a slightly higher volume of attacks for making sure that the attacks he does put out have a pretty good chance of dealing damage. I don't know how good it is, but I really like the Triceratops. It deals next to no damage, but with defense 7, 8 wounds, and discipline 9 with fearless, it's just such a tank. You can use its mobility to, get it into combat with any unit, and it will just stick around for the entire game, tying them up. The Firelizard is a really weird little unit. It's like a mobile, short-ranged artillery piece, almost. Got some movement with the pterodactyls, and then I've just kitted the Crocolisk Bruisers out with one additional model to give them some staying power. With that said, let's get into some matches, see how this Dino Thunder list performs. First matchup for this Dinos list is going to be Dwarves. My opponent here has gone for a slight twist on what is becoming a very common list with the Ranger Captain and then 2 units of Dwarf Rangers for a lot of really solid shooting, plus the minus for their battle line option. But where you typically see a cannon, my opponent has instead gone for the Dwarf Flying Machine to give it a bit more movement, I guess. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's really cool to see. Against armies where you expect a lot of range and potential like corner camping, I'm still not sure. I'm undecided whether to deploy in the center so you can go after either corner, or kind of guess and go after one side. I guess here we hedge a little bit over to the right, and we guess correctly that my opponent's going to kind of set up in this bit of forest. I've also tucked my pterodactyls in here behind the crocs. Again, expecting a lot of range units from my opponent. While not the strongest unit, I really value the mobility that they bring, so I want to protect them from any turn 1 shooting. But getting into it then, I move the Triceratops up first because I do not care if it wants to shoot at my opponent wants to shoot at that at all. And yeah, this is what I mentioned in the intro about not being able to put out much damage against this unit here. Sure, it has a shooting option, but it needs a 6-up followed by a 3-up. So, 3-up save. So we actually get very lucky here and squeak 1 damage through on that unit. But yeah, definitely not in the list for its damage output, that unit. With only 6 wounds, I really want to shield the Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus Rex, the T-Rex, from my opponent's shooting. So I move up behind this rock here. And then in general, I just want to get into melee combat as quick as possible. So the lizard moves up, deals 2 damage. So not the best, but yeah, 2 damage against the opponent's commander's unit. He shoots the lizard and he does 2 wounds there, but the second round of shooting from the second unit of Dwarf Rangers is enough to take it out, which when you're facing a lot of ranged units, I mean, this is kind of the game where you kind of expect to take losses as you charge towards their missiles. I leave the pterodactyls back a little bit here, don't push up as far as I could. His speedy flying machine helicopter thing is yet to move. So I don't really want to stick the pterodactyls out here for him to be able to fly them over, get a shot off with the steam gun, and then maybe a flank charge. That's just going to wipe this unit. So I'm going to play a bit more conservative with them there. But that means instead it's able to come around and shoot at the T-Rex and takes off 3 of the 6 wounds there. Turn 2, T-Rex gets to charge into its arguably strongest unit, at least the unit with his commander in. He pops off, what is it called? Hunter's Call, which means his foot units can move a bit further this turn. 1 croc dies to that shooting, but we're in turn 2, and thankfully we're already in range for a charge here. I think, if I didn't mention it before, one thing I really enjoy about this list is the movement. Nothing is moving slower than, I guess, the crocs, and they're still, yeah, pretty speedy. I bring the T-Rex around the side here, threatening the charge on either of these units. Again, he's yet to move the copter, but my thinking is that if he moves it around here, which he's likely to do to kind of try and intercept, I will then be able to put the pterodactyls in the way. Shoots at it again, only 1 damage this turn, but yeah, my general's unit model is down to 2 wounds. And it moves around, and I don't know if I miscalculated the movement or something I had, but I'm not able to get the pterodactyls, or maybe I thought I would be able to charge first and miscalculated, in which case I could have charged in here first. Either way, yeah, that didn't quite go as planned. Over here, yeah, my Triceratops is wearing 2-ups, so his attacks pretty much bounce off, just get a couple of wounds through. I think that was 2-to-1 combat score in favour of them, but with a fearless and 9-up discipline, Triceratops sticks around, and then yeah, he gets first charge, and quite rightly moves his copter first to prevent my T-Rex then charging into either of these units. But I'm pretty happy about the Crocs getting in here. I pop off War Cry from the T-Rex as he moves his Wolf Miners round, and I position the Pterodactyls either to get rear charge into the copter if it survives this combat, or if not, charge into the miners. I'm feeling pretty good about this combat in the middle. I'm feeling fairly confident that my Triceratops can survive a lot of punishment from there. Indeed, that's a bit of a stalemate. The Warlord gets 3 wounds through against the copter. I think this is with Cruelty. So again, really low variant, or almost guaranteed damage coming from those 3 attacks, based on how I built that unit with Cruelty and Prowess. He gets 1 more damage through, and with the T-Rex's attacks, I'm not able to fully kill it, leave it surviving on 1 wound, but it does fail his break test. So the copter flies away, but as ever with kind of speedy units, them rallying and turning and coming back into it could be a bit of a pain. Again, I'm feeling fairly confident about this combat in the middle. We do win the combat, and then my opponent has an 8-up break test and fails it with a roll of 11. So an unfortunate roll for my opponent there. And that is huge for me, that unit running. I'm hoping I can get this charge now into the rear of the miners. However, when that model goes, the profile kind of shrinks, and I don't believe I have the angle. At least that is not what happens. As you see the miners go into the T-Rex. I do charge the fleeing unit. I don't want them to rally. And he goes first and does rally his copter. So, not sure about this decision, but I do turn the pterodactyls to just deal with this so it can't become a nuisance later on in the game. As expected, these units just kind of bounce off each other, but again, the Triceratops is kind of doing its job there. T-Rex only gets 1 wound through, is that right? No, sorry, that was just the from the commander. So the dwarf miners are able to take the last wound off my commander unit, but I take out half, 5 of the 10 miners there. So don't feel too bad about that. Got to get some more damage in, and another high break test roll from my opponent means that those dwarf rangers are going to run off the match, off the pitch, off the battlefield is the word I'm going to go. Is the word I'm going to land on for that. They ran off the battlefield. I get the rear charge, and then I've got last movement here. So potential to get around the side, but I just don't quite have the movement to get out of the charging arc here of this unit of miners, unfortunately. So rather than me getting a clean flanking charge, those guys are just going to kind of meet head on. As expected, these units bounce off each other again. Copter goes down, and yeah, as I said, kind of front charge here, and I think 3 1s I roll on my save means finally this general's unit takes out the Triceratops. But I think it's going to be a bit too little too late. Well, let's see. Crocs win that combat, and another high break roll on the break test for my opponent. Really unfortunate for them. Means that unit runs, and we're going into the final turn. So here I'm thinking about points. I'm thinking if this unit with the general survives and he's able to rally this unit, then he probably wins on points. He'll also have an opportunity to maybe turn and shoot off any of these units. So I decide to charge the Croc unit here, partly to try and wipe out this unit completely, but also to prevent, I mean, it would be a slim chance, but with the 4 attacks and then the marksman rifle from the ranger captain, I don't want to lose any more crocs there. As it turns out, his shooting didn't do much anyway. He's forced to go into the pterodactyls. I take out 2 more of this unit of miners, and when all is said and done, yeah, a really close victory, only 28 points in it. I think we did get quite lucky there with my opponent rolling high on some of his break tests, but yeah, either way, that is match 1 in the bag for the Dinos. Next matchup for the Dinos is going to be Dead Nation, and my opponent has one of these, you know, all eggs in one basket, putting all your hopes, dreams, points into one unit sort of lists. Usually with Dead Nation, you see the vampire in this position. My opponent's gone for the Warlord as their commander, which is pretty interesting, I think. Like, they're the same amount of points, and crucially, the vampire allows you to cast spells. So my opponent's going without reanimate in this game, and the White Lord gives up 1 skill point and gains 1 point of discipline, which isn't huge, but gains the terror ability innately, which kind of functions a bit like a spell. So you can kind of think of it as giving up 1 skill point for getting this spell for free. So kind of interesting decision there. That giving up that skill not really going to matter here though, because combination of Prowess and Heartseeker, this commander is going to be hitting pretty much everything. But yeah, not then having to spend points on a spell, then freeze maybe up a few points for something like Banner of Fury on the Skeleton Knights, which you're going to be getting together with the Lance and Shield plus 3 power on the charge. So yeah, this match is going to come down to, can I deal with this one unit? Because that's one scary unit, especially on the charge. It's probably just going to be able to delete absolutely everything. Outside of that, 9 Knights and the White Lord, my opponent's running 2 units of 3 bats and just the 18 zombies. Let's just get into this one because I think this match is going to show a few things. One, the power of moving second, particularly when you have speedy units. 2, my inexperience. And 3, some really nice movement from my opponent's side. But yeah, a couple of mistakes. I think when dealing with a unit like this, I was thinking ideally I kind of want to draw it in and then collapse in on it with multiple of my units at the same time, to kind of tie it up and then deal with it on a turn when it hasn't charged. I'm not sure if that was great. I think maybe what I could have done instead is just thrown a sort of chaffy unit at it, and then as like a sacrificial, unit, and then kind of got some things in. Anyway, let's see how this goes. Shooting from Triceratops deals 1. Little tentative. Move my Firelizard up, and it can only really hit the zombies, so I do that there. And now I think this is one of my first big mistakes in this match. I'm worried about losing my commander with its kind of 1 war cry once per battle ability, which is pretty nice for this list. So I move it out of the charge arc of the Skeleton Knights and kind of behind this cliff, kind of out of the way. That means I'm not threatening it with a charge here, and that allows him obviously just move his bats to threaten the flank there. So when it comes to charges, then he just gets this kind of clean charge into the Crocolisks, which at first it's like, well, if they're going to charge anything, I don't really mind that. But of course, this unit has the terror ability. Again, nothing else to hit. I'm seeing this as like, I'm happy for this 55-point unit just to keep these zombies out of the rest of the fight. So I send that up there, get in front of them so they can't come down, cause any further mischief. And then second big mistake, I wonder if I was kind of expecting the Crocolisk to hold. I'm not sure. Kind of wanted to bring it around. I don't know what I was thinking here, because big mistake here is if these Crocs get wiped out or they run, my positioning here means that I'm just in the arc there of the White Lord for him to get a charge there. And he does indeed use the terror there. I can come around for the flank, but he is going to get last move again. So he can move the Felbit bats to threaten a charge here. I have to move my speedy flying unit before his and try to kind of get it into a position. Probably should have come further back. Another kind of mistake there, because I'm not able to get it in a position that can completely block off my opponents, like the space for my opponent to get in here and get rear charge on the trike. So yeah, again, nice, really nice sort of placement from my opponent, or placement from me. And yeah, as expected, take a lot of damage, and then needed to roll 3 or under on a break test, and I don't. And because of their movement, they run straight off the map. They're not going to get a chance to rally. And then here, as you can see, I've set myself up for a pretty bad situation where he can intercept my attempted charge here. This unit's not doing anything, and he can get his charge onto my general. So I move around to get the rear charge here for next turn and pop the war cry, just because I just want to do as much damage to this unit as possible without that reanimate spell that you usually see from a vampire. any deaths or crumbles onto this unit are actually going to stick. My lizard is doing pretty good work up top. Not worried about his combat with the Triceratops in the middle, but obviously that means is there to stop it coming down here. And as expected, well, say as expected, my commander gets taken out, but something we just whizzed past there was my Warlord was able to completely one-shot his commander. So if you don't know, if the commander's units face off against each other, they attack each other and use their kind of individual stats for defense and whatnot. And I was able to pick his commander off. So this unit is now commanderless, although still scary. And does mean I get a rear charge here in an attempt to maybe get even a few more of those skeleton knights. And from this point on, it's all a little bit, the pieces are in place. Do win that combat in the middle, and it's back to run. Able to pick off 2 more knights. So now I'm thinking, actually, maybe not so bad. He quite rightly doesn't want to go after my Triceratops that still has 8 wounds remaining. So it goes into the pterodactyls. And yeah, I think this Firelizard is still just tanking hits from these zombies. Need a big combat here. Not quite enough damage there. We're only on turn 6, and I'm able to get a rear charge in a way that, because of how his units were positioned, his skeletons and knights weren't able to get into the Triceratops. So it's not going great, but there's still a chance if I can deal with this unit and it indeed runs away. So I haven't added up the points yet, but especially if I can deal with this unit here, I might still have a chance. And now I move this Firelizard up just out of range of the fell bats, so cannot use the fire breath, which I think would have been huge. Pick off another couple, but 2 still remain. And as you saw earlier there, his fell bats, not only did they succeed in their rally test, which means I don't score for this unit, but they have over half the remaining models. So if we take a look at the scoring, it is a defeat, but it's a defeat by 10 measly points. So yeah, if the lizard had just got in range to maybe pick 1 more bat off, or if the bats hadn't have completed that rally charge, would have been quite different. But as I said, I think I made a ton of mistakes in that match, so a good game to my opponent. Okay, next we're up against a fairly common looking Empire list with the Wizard accompanied by a maxed out unit of handgunners, piece of artillery, the knights, and a battle line unit. Specifically here, my opponent has gone with 5 knights with lance and shield, the Imperial Mortar, Firebolt and Hex of Ruin as the spells on the wizard, and a Banner of Mist on this unit of handgunners, and the Imperial Swords as his battle line choice. As always with this list, my shooting is fairly limited, but it does have some mobility, so I'm going to be looking to charge up the field and get in my opponent's face as quickly as possible. Going into turn 1 then, move up Fire Wizard just to get a shot off against the handgunners. And he chooses here to target the Firelizard with the handguns, taking it down to 1 remaining health, but then throws the Fireball at the Pterodactyls. And I'm wondering if he was hoping to maybe roll high here, not wanting to waste the Fireball, or just simply thought he could take out whichever of these units with the remaining shots from the mortar. As we move forward here, I just move my units up. Yeah, he does shoot the Pterodactyls with the mortar, but it's unable to completely wipe out that unit either. Everything else moves up here, and what that does allow me to do is move my Pterodactyl over here as a screen. His knights are yet to move, but this, what is now a kind of throwaway unit, I'm able to position here to stop his knights from getting a good charge into any of my other units. So yeah, indeed, as we move to charges, he gets in with both of these units, which I am expecting to die. But that's okay, because I can then position my Crocs to kind of take the charge against the knights and position them in such a way that even if both of my units here die, he's only going to be able to charge my Crocs with one of these units as they're both facing the front. With nothing to shoot at, he moves his mortar, and he wisely moves his swords in front of his handgunner unit just to screen them from the charge here. As expected, both those units go down, and then I charge in with the Crocs, and I like to charge the swords with the T-Rex, favouring that matchup there. I think I should be able to chew through them. Fortunate for me here, he pops Hex of Ruin on the Crocs, but I believe he's unable to get a shot through this gap at my only remaining unoccupied unit, the Triceratops. So I can move around to set up the flank charge there. And this is going to be a really pivotal combat phase. Ideally, I'd like to win both of these, but at least one of them. So I do pop my once per battle war cry. And now look at this combat, because I'm sure, you know, over these games, I'm going to do my fair share of complaining when the dice don't go my way, when my opponent gets lucky. But look at this here, with the Hex of Ruin on the Crocs. His knights are rolling 3 up to hit, make 7 of those, but I make 3 6-up saves, and in attacking them I make 6 of my 4-ups to hit, and he saves none of his 5-ups to save. So, you know, got to credit the dice where it is due. I get incredibly lucky there. Not only that, he fails his break test, and his knights run almost out of there. The 2 remaining ones do stop just short of the edge of the battlefield. But here, as we move to the T-Rex against the swords, we do win the combat. However, with only 6 wounds total, he is able to knock it down to half health. and he passes his break test there. So my T-Rex is going to be tied up for another turn. When it comes to charges here then, I think I do have an opportunity to charge the Crocs here, but I decided not to. My thinking there is, I believe it would have been it definitely would have been a frontal charge here, and they would have taken the full force of the handgunner's attacks. And while this now means that I'm going to take another hit from the mortar, I can set up for a kind of rear charge against this unit, assuming that both units survive. So yeah, he does take out another Croc, and he pops Hex of Ruin on the T-Rex. However, that is not going to be enough, because the T-Rex survives on just the 1 health. That forces the one remaining swordsman to run away from the big scary dinosaur. And here, as I said, I'm kind of expecting both of these units to stick around. However, while the Triceratops doesn't have that many attacks, only 4, he is hitting with power 5. And against the flank, I'm able to squeak a few more wounds through than he is, forcing the break test, and he rolls a 10 on a 7-up break test, forcing his unit of handgunners to run straight into my waiting Crocs. And from there, I get the flank charge and the rear charge, charge 1 remaining swordsman, and this is a little bit all said and done, all she wrote for my opponent. My T-Rex is still only on the 1 wound though. But as we move forward to this match's conclusion, you can see here the T-Rex does go down, but I'm able to take out the last knights, and his commander's unit is going to ruff the board. So, a bit too little too late for my opponent, as we are going to take this one. With a score of 4-4-2 against 2-6-5. So another good match there against what can sometimes be a kind of problematic, well-rounded list. Again, helped by some very lucky rolls in that very pivotal combat in the middle there between the Crocs and the Knights. But that will do it for this video. This is a very new channel, so if you liked it, please do like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff so YouTube knows to recommend it to others, and maybe suggest it to someone else if you think they would get something from this channel. And if you didn't like it, please also leave a comment. Any constructive criticism that's well intended is always appreciated. But until next time,